Hey guys, how's it going? It's Andy from Magoo Investing. Happy Wednesday. So in yesterday's video, if you missed that video, I'll link that up above right now. I talked about the ARK ETFs, and this was a group of ETFs created by Cathie Wood. And the whole idea is that they're investing in innovation and exciting stocks. And so there's 5 different ETFs for the innovation. There's one that's just a general innovation. They have some focusing on fintech, next generation internet, robotics, and there's a bunch of really interesting areas you can invest in with these ETFs. And all of them have done extremely well in 2020. All 5 of their ETFs returned over 100%, and that's very impressive. And since I think of myself as a pretty solid investor, and I love the idea of creating a potential portfolio based off of a topic or a general philosophy that you're trying to achieve, I liked the idea of trying to create my own ARK ETF. And the whole idea is that I'm going to pick 10 of my favorite stocks that have to do with innovation in a bunch of different industries. And so I'm not going to rely exclusively on some of these, companies that you've never heard of, but I'm going to pick 10 stocks that I love. And the whole criteria I'm going to look at is if they're innovative and they do something that really excites me going forward. Since I am talking about 10 stocks, I am going to have timestamps in the description below if you'd like to bounce around. And then I'm going to end up putting all 10 of these stocks into a fake portfolio, and I'm going to follow them during the course of 2021 and compare them to overall ARK ETFs. I think on average, I'm probably going to beat the stock market every year, but my goal is to try to beat the ARK ETFs with my innovative portfolio. So before we get started, I do have to say that I'm not a licensed financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. Anything you hear in this video is just me giving my own opinions on the stock market, and you need to do your own research before making any investment decisions. I really appreciate it if you hit that like and subscribe button, as it would help my channel out a lot. And so first I want to talk about Lemonade, ticker symbol LMND, which is currently trading for $105, and it's probably the hottest IPO of 2020, shooting up 130% on its IPO date. And so I have made videos in the past talking about Lemonade, how I thought it was going to be probably the best IPO of this year, and how I thought it was a stock that could double in 2021. The stock did fall 10% on Monday as insiders took advantage of selling their stocks after the lockup period expired, but that doesn't really worry me going forward considering the incredible returns that it's seen so far this year. This is a very different insurance company. That's one of the reasons why I put it on my innovation list, because they use tech and transparency, which is very unusual, and it's such an established type of business like insurance. And so they focus on the younger generation and people that have maybe not had insurance in the past. And the whole idea is brand loyalty, to get people into their insurance business for the first time and have them make the transition from getting renter's insurance when they're younger to actually buying homeowner's insurance when they get older. And so that's where they're going to be getting the higher margins. But the most exciting part, and the reason why I decided to put it on this list, has to do with their give back program. So they have leftover money after collecting all the premiums and paying out all the claims over the course of the year. And anything left over gets donated to a cause that's chosen by the customer. And I think that's very exciting. And this gives them the title of being a B Corp, which I think is absolutely incredible. When I think of B Corps, I think of Patagonia, which is one of my favorite companies out there. And the fact that there is a publicly traded company with an idea that I think is very exciting is the reason why I decided to put it on this list with Lemonade, ticker symbol LMND. Second up, I'm going to be talking about carbon emissions with Beyond Meat, ticker symbol BYND, which is currently trading for $127, and it's up 68% on the year. So I've talked about Beyond Meat a couple times in the past month, and I still absolutely love them for the same reasons. For one reason, they're the only plant-based meat company that's publicly traded until Impossible likely goes IPO at some point in 2021. But this is an industry that I think is going to explode in the upcoming years. Current estimates that I found expects the industry to get almost 19 times bigger by 2030 and become an $85 billion industry. And for innovation, I love it for reducing carbon emissions. Livestock accounts for 14.5% of the annual carbon emissions produced by humans, and being able to reduce that and become more sustainable when it comes to our emissions, I think is a fantastic goal, and I've really enjoyed the products that they've put out. And the fact that this is a rapidly expanding industry has me very excited for Beyond Meat, which is why I've decided to put it second on this list. Next up, I'm going to go with home fitness with Peloton, ticker symbol PTON. That's trading for $152, that's up 434% on the year. And this might not seem super innovative, but I think it is, and I decided to put it on this list because it's my list and I get to decide. But they've made the home fitness space desirable, and that's not something you could say just a couple years ago. They've reached 1 million users in 2020, and they're expecting further growth. They had a $420 million acquisition of the fitness company Precor that will help with some of the problems that they've been having recently. And their crazy brand loyalty with their 1-year retention rate of 96% boosts their subscription revenue, which is one of the most attractive parts of their business. Yes, they have 1 million users, but that reoccurring payments is what really excites me going forward. In addition, they have products that can be used without Peloton hardware, which is also going to be increasing their revenue. They saw huge increases in their fitness subscriptions and revenue in the past quarter, and I expect them to continue their success in 2021 and continue to be the most dominant force in this home fitness space. Next up, I'm going to put Apple, ticker symbol AAPL, when it comes to overall tech. They're trading for $137 and up 87% on the year. And while you might not think of Apple as being the most innovative company anymore just because they've gotten so large, I think they deserve to be on this list based off of their track record. This has been one of the most innovative companies of all time over the course of their multiple decades that they've been a publicly traded company. And with their announcement of their potential EV car, I think it's going to be very interesting. Also gives the portfolio a little bit of stability by picking a company that has a $2 trillion market cap. Next, I'm going to talk about PayPal when it comes to money, ticker symbol PYPL. You could put Square, ticker symbol SQ in here, but I like PayPal, and it's my list. So currently, PayPal is trading for $235, and it's up 18% on the year. PayPal is the king of online transactions. Here's the trend of transaction volume over the past couple years, and it's crazy to see the incredible growth of this number over time. They've seen massive user growth with their peer-to-peer platform with Venmo, going from only 3,000 users in 2012 to 52 million in 2020. And that's resulted in a very impressive revenue chart with no quarters of decreased year-over-year quarterly growth. They've recently added the ability to do Bitcoin transactions on the platform, which I think is a great addition. With 2020 and the massive e-commerce numbers from this year, PayPal is larger than Square and is the reason why I decided to put it on this list, just because it's less likely to have a massive pullback because it is up over 100% on the year, but it's nowhere near the 200% increase that we've seen with Square. Number 6 on this list is going to be Stitch Fix, ticker symbol SIFX, which is going to be my clothing innovator. Currently it's trading for $63 and it's up 146% on the year. This might not be the most exciting industry when it comes to innovation, but I really think that this company does something that's really cool. The idea is that the company uses algorithms to give style recommendations to people that maybe wouldn't be looking for that type of product in the past. And so they send you products and you get to try on all the stuff, and if you don't like it, you send it back and you keep whatever you actually do like. And so I love the idea of it because it doesn't require you to commit to a subscription model. And so as a consumer, I don't like the idea of committing to a subscription model for this type of product that I'm not really sure how it's going to turn out. This was one of the most heavily shorted stocks for a long time, and we've recently seen a short squeeze after the last earnings report where they saw the company add 240,000 net new customers in the last quarter and return to profitability that shot the stock price up significantly. And so I love the future of this company. I think it's very interesting. I think it's going to be changing the way that most of these clothing companies do business. So I think it's very innovative in its own space. Next up, I'm going to go with Twitter, ticker symbol TWTR, when it comes to innovation on social media and news. It's currently trading for $54.40, and it's up 70% on the year. So I think the area that Twitter has innovated the most has to do with how we interact with politicians and receive news. In the past couple of years, more and more people are on the platform and it has become an important place to learn about politics. I'm not saying that it's necessarily all great, but we have been seeing Twitter trying to improve the information that's posted on their platform. They've been trying to actively improve by making sure the information is accurate. They've been tagging tweets as misleading, and it asks you to read articles before retweeting them. And so after the revenue dips that we saw in 2020 because of the pandemic and many of the advertisers cutting back on spending because of the uncertainty, I think 2021 is going to be a great year for the company, especially because after we're getting towards the end of the election cycle, it's not as maybe combative on the platform anymore. So it might be a positive place for advertisers to go back and increase their spending. I did find it interesting that 97% of political tweets are from the most active 10% of users. Doesn't mean anything, but I just think it's an interesting number. Number 8 on this list is going to be Roku, ticker symbol ROKU, for these streaming platforms. And it's currently trading for $341, and it's up 155% on the year. The innovations that we've been seeing in entertainment has mainly come from the streaming movement and the cord-cutting movement. The numbers that I found shows that around 33% of US households are already cordless, meaning that streaming is going to only become more popular over time. And unlike the giants of Netflix, Apple, Disney that are fighting for eyeballs, Roku is just kind of the middleman and doesn't have as much competition for the streaming boxes. Yes, you have Apple TV, you have some like the Xbox stuff and PlayStation, but Roku is definitely the dominant force in their sector, considering that they have almost 40% of the current market with their variety of products that range from the actual TV that is relatively expensive, and then they have the cheaper products for just the Roku sticks, which makes it very accessible to a lot of people. As streaming becomes more popular over time, I think Roku is going to continue to increase in size. Number 9 is going to be Bitcoin with cryptocurrency, which is currently trading around $26,000. Hard to argue that Bitcoin isn't innovative. Yesterday we had the NFL player Russell Okung become the first player to be paid in Bitcoin, which is, the transaction-wise, it isn't that large. I think it's like $13 million worth of Bitcoin, but it's the fact that some of these public figures are coming out and showing that they have support for using Bitcoin, which is very exciting. And one of the reasons that I like Bitcoin a lot has to do with the technology that it's using. And it pushes for clean energy. I saw this really interesting article. It said that 76% of Bitcoin miners use renewable energies because it's much cheaper to power their operations. And the green Bitcoin theory is the fact that Bitcoin is going to continue to be mined, and the fact that the demand for energy is becoming higher and higher with these miners, it's going to be pushing the innovation when it comes to green energy. And so I do like Bitcoin just because of the cryptocurrency aspect of it, but I do like the fact that it is pushing green innovation. And then the last stock on this list is going to be General Electric, ticker symbol GE, and that's also going to be mainly focused on clean energy. Currently, GE is trading for 1066, and it's down 4% on the year. This is one of my personal favorite stocks overall, and it is a part of my portfolio at this point. They're going to be involved in many green energy innovations going forward. They've already been helping to provide wind turbines for the world's largest wind bank off the coast of the UK, and they've also started a turbine blade recycling program that would lower carbon emissions from cement creation, which is a very exciting program. And so GE may be not the most innovative company at this point, but I'm very excited to see what they do in the upcoming years. So these are going to be my 10 stocks that I'm going to be putting on my Magoo Innovation ETF. No, you're not going to be able to trade it, but I'm going to keep track of how it's doing over the course of the year. And maybe after every quarter, I'll kind of check in to compare them, make a video, talk about how they did compared to the ARK ETFs, because I think innovation is a very exciting area. And depending on who you talk to, different companies can be innovative for different reasons. So I didn't have some of the overlap that the ARK ETFs have, where Tesla was a part of pretty much all of their ETFs. But I am a big fan of all these stocks. I think putting them together, this could be a very interesting portfolio. This isn't what my portfolio looks like right now, but if I had to make an ETF or a portfolio primarily centered around innovation going forward, these are my 10 stocks that I would pick. So let me know what you thought about the stocks on this list, and let me know what you think is the most innovative stock that you love going forward. Thanks for watching. I appreciate all the support, and I will see you in the next video.